The following is a Podbeard production.
EST 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, opinions, and more. This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We're on audio here today on episode 263 of The Hodder Show here on Podbeard Network. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button of today's episode of the podcast. We got a, albeit unconventional recording area. But we have a fun episode of the podcast here for you today, folks, as I am going to be diving into some more questions here on another edition of Ask Hodder Anything, the old Ask Hodder Anything again, because, I can't really go into it right now, but it's all good. It's good. I'm just say that. Life is just it's throwing me a rather interesting, I shouldn't say curveball, because it's not curveball. Let's just say something very interesting has presented itself, and it's going to cause it for me to be very busy over the next couple of weeks, at least the next week. So this is the only free time I'm going to have, at least for this week. Now, when I say free time, I don't mean time that I have to do the podcast. I mean free time, period. I'm talking like, and again, it's a good thing. Let me reiterate that. But it's just, I'm not even going to have time to cook dinner or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be busy week. But that's good. It's a good thing. Let me again reiterate that point. Drive that point home. Don't want to talk about it right now. Maybe in a few weeks or so, you guys will understand why, hear why. But definitely this week, there's no way I'm going to be able to record another podcast, do an interview or anything. So I wanted to have something for you guys. Since last week, the episode of the show was corrupted and I was only able to use it because I just freaking love technology. But that's okay. Because I had a lot of questions left over from the Ask Hodder Anything I did a couple of weeks ago. And then also the an episode of the show that I did. You know, I've done a few different episodes of the kind of Q&As and things like that. So I had lots of questions left over and just stuff people asks me that I don't necessarily would normally throw on an Ask Hodder or anything, because I've talked about them before. They're similar to another question, or things people just ask me randomly that I'm like, wow, that'd make a good podcast question. So sometimes I'll write them down and I'll say, listen to my show and I'll answer it. So if you're listening to this, I probably told you to listen to it. Maybe you hear your question, maybe not. That's the fun of it. But we got some really fun questions ranging from, what I like on my pizza to what I think about kind of where the podcast is, to my first impression of my wonderful fiancée when I met her for the first time, and some other really fun ones thrown in there. So we're going to have a lot of fun here today, and I'm very, very excited. Of course, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of the Hodder Show. You're going to hear some ads for them here today. Of course, Mr. J. Bridges Larts, my man Jason is the absolute man, and I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so very much. Big shout out as well to Mean Beard, keeping my beard silky smooth and clean and all that fun stuff. I had an interview the other day that was very, it was actually a video interview over the computer. And actually the people complimented my beard. So I said, meanbeardco.com, folks. And of course, Cale Riddick Painting, my man Cale. If you need some painting done, you hit up my boy. He'll take care of you, because that's what he does. Takes care of your painting needs. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who supported last week's episode of the show. Not last week, 2 weeks ago episode of the show. Of course, my interview with Brandon Gregory from Drop Top Island. That was a lot of fun. Big shout out to those guys. But we're just going to jump right into the episode here today. This Ask Hodder Anything again. From the front seat of my car. Let's get into it. Hey man, is your beard dry? Got some major itch going on, or maybe you are a sufferer from the dreaded beard dandruff. If this sounds like you, I've got the solution. Make your beard the meanest it's ever been with Mean Beard. Mean Beard is an exceptional beard care line offering the world's meanest beard oil, beard balm, both of which come in 5 different scents. They also offer a one-of-a-kind beard enhancer, Mean Whip. Their products are specially formulated with the richest natural carry oils and the finest ingredients to help you grow a glorious, healthy, and full mean beard. Proudly made in Ohio, USA for the meanest beardsmen. Now, I personally have used these products for over 3 years, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that they are amazing, and it has truly helped my beard so much. Not to mention that the people responsible for this company and behind this company are freaking amazing human beings. Can't say enough great things about them. Check out their beard care products, combs, and swag on the web at meanbeardco.com. That's mean, MEAN, beard, BEARD, co.com. When you go on there and check out, be sure to use my code MB15TJH. That's all uppercase MB15TJH. And you'll save 15% off your order. 15%. What are you waiting for? Go on there right now, and while you're at it, be sure to check out Mean Beard on Instagram, as well as join Mean Beard's community on Facebook. And always remember, folks, it's not just the beard, it's the attitude. All right, getting back into the Q&A or the Ask Hodder Anything. I got quite a few questions, actually. Either this is from people who've asked me stuff in person or stuff I just have left over from the last one. And there's some really fun questions in here. Some of which I think I may have already answered before, but whatever. Let's have some fun here today. So, the first question that I have here is, you've never really discussed it on the show, but in general, how has your move to Peterborough been? Well, it's been good. Overall, it's been interesting, to say the least. Obviously, you know, I was moving out of my parents' place for the first time in my life, you know, so it was exciting, but it was definitely long overdue. I was, you know, fucking 28 when I moved out of my parents' place. So, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I lived in the basement apartment. I rented out the basement apartment we have for a while, and that was, you know, to help my parents out as much as it was to help me out. So, we, you know, Sam and I, we had wanted to move out for a little while, and it just so happened we couldn't really find much in the area, which was in for those who don't know, I live in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. I used to live in Newcastle, Ontario, Canada, in the Clanton area. And basically, we couldn't find anything near there. So, and Sam works out this way. So we were like, you know what? I'll have no problem finding a job out here. I was so convinced I would have no issue at all. And basically, long story short, I've had a lot of issue finding work out here, actually. So, yeah. Otherwise, it's been good. You know, we're pretty happy with our apartment. We wouldn't have found, Morty would not have come into our lives, our new kitten Morty, if we weren't out here. It's been great, you know, we're getting to have our own space. You know, obviously the commute for me sucks, but kind of such is life, man. I will say though, being so close to so much stuff is really cool, but it's also deadly on the wallet. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a small town that didn't have a Tim Hortons even until I was, like 17, 18 years old. So for me to like, you know, run to Walmart, it was like a 20 half an hour excursion. You know what I'm saying? So to then be like, oh, I can get to Walmart in 5 minutes. You know, like that is a big thing when you're an adult trying to make your way in the world. And it's like, oh, wow, I can literally rip down to the store. And guys, I literally can rip down to the corner store and be back at my apartment, including the trip of being in the store in like 3 minutes. Like, seriously, it's pretty cool. So that all is pretty cool. You know, obviously, you know, Sam and I having our own space and everything. That's been really cool. So overall, it's been great. I wish I could have found work out here, you know, But it's not in the cards, and that's okay. Because everything else has been pretty darn good. Oh God, here we go. All right. This is where the big boys ask the questions here, folks. All right, here we go. You can only have one for the rest of your life. I can only have one of these for the rest of my life, assuming, the other ones will be destroyed from the earth, I guess. I have no idea, but we'll go with that. A&W, Harvey's, or Wendy's. Oh God, I can only have one the rest of my life. A&W, Harvey's, or Wendy's. I eat a lot of Wendy's. It's in the building I work in. I get it for free, so I do eat a lot of Wendy's. But I love A&W too. Here's the thing, right, is, like, if you could get me, I don't like A&W sides, though, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a fat guy, so I'm passionate about food. I don't like A&W sides that much. Like their fries, I don't think are that good. Onion rings, not bad. I can fuck with the onion rings. Burgers, fantastic. But here's the difference maker for me, right? Okay, here's the difference maker. Harvey's doesn't have breakfast. It doesn't have anything anything different. They got the burgers and they got the chicken burgers and that's it. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Harvey's. I really do. But I got to take Harvey's off the board here. Just basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now, Wendy's used to have breakfast. Okay? If Wendy's still had breakfast, this would be a no-brainer that it would be Wendy's. But if I can only have one of them for the rest of my life, I got to go with A&W. Just for the simple fact that I can get all different types of meals that I want there. They got the chubby chicken strips too, which are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, the Wendy's chicken strips are way better. They also got the spicy chicken, which is fantastic. And they got, okay, you know what? No, fuck, I'm going with Wendy's. Sorry, changing my answer. Going with Wendy's. I just thought about all the yummy stuff they have. We're going with Wendy's, 100%. Should have been my first answer. That is my final answer, Your Honor. Wendy's, for sure. How long has Gigs Music been closed for? Do you still miss it? So what's funny, actually, is we are very, very close, as this episode drops, to the 5-year anniversary of Gigs Music being closed. The 5-year anniversary. Those of you who are not familiar, Gigs Music was a music store I used to work at and managed for a couple of years, and it closed down about 5 years ago. Through no fault of my own or anything. It was just long story as to why it closed down. But basically all you need to know is it closed down, not through any fault of my own. Business was actually starting to do pretty okay. So that's, that's a thing. But do I still miss it? So 5 years is how long it's been closed. Do I still miss it? Not as much as I used to, for sure. I go through peaks and valleys where I miss it. And the only reason I say that is, to be honest, number one, I mean, the pay was not good. I didn't make money working there, you know what I mean? And that's not a shot at my old boss or anything at all. It was a minimum wage sales job. Like, you know what I mean? You can't make a living working in a music store. You just can't. If you can and you're listening, that's good for you, because I couldn't. So, keeping that in mind, it was a long couple of years that I worked there. I loved it. I wouldn't trade that time for anything. I made some friends in life that, I'm still keeping contact with and that I'm going to have the rest of my life. So I am so grateful for that. And I got to experience some amazing moments there and got to have some really, really fun times. But I miss it less and less every year because as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that a lot of the reasons that I loved it were not enough to sustain. You know what I mean? Like, just, it's like what I missed about it wasn't the people, not so much the I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. I love working on guitars, and I'm starting to do that again now a little more, which is really, really fun. It's very therapeutic for me. That was something I loved doing there. So I started doing that again a little bit more, which is cool. So I don't miss that part of it. The sales part of it, obviously, I miss being able to help kids get good but affordable music gear. Because I know anytime I step into a big store, man, and I'm there and I hear a kid ask the dreaded questions of, oh, you know, what should I get if I want to sound like this person? Or what should I get if I want to sound like this? And I know the answer. Okay? I know what to say. But, you know, they got to make their money. So they're telling these kids to, oh, if you want to sound like Eddie Van Halen, you got to buy a phaser. It's like, well, what the fuck? When the fuck is this kid going to actually use a phaser? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's little things like that. For those of you who don't know, phaser is a guitar effect that Eddie Van Halen does use, don't get me wrong, but not enough to... If you want to sound like Eddie Van Halen, fucking practice playing guitar. That's the... You know what I'm saying? But I hear it, and, you know, and I have, you know, I'll see kids come in, and they'll want to pick up their first guitar, and they sell them a classical guitar. And I stopped one time, I couldn't help myself, where they were looking at a classical guitar, and I was like, do you want to play classical guitar music? No. Then why are you buying a classical guitar? So, well, because the strings are easier to push down. Yes, you're correct. The fucking neck's also wider. So it is harder to play if you don't know how to play it. You aren't used to it. You can get softer strings for a steel string guitar that feel basically like nylon strings. A lot of people don't know that. You can do that. So it's like, why would you sell them a guitar that they don't actually need? That's actually going to be harder for them to play. In my opinion, playing a classical guitar as opposed to a normal steel string guitar when you are learning how to play guitar is harder. A lot of people laugh at that, and I go, no, like, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Why am I getting so heated about this? Holy shit. Like, it's like, if you look at a steel string guitar neck and then a classical guitar neck, the necks are wider by a marginal amount. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're wrong. And things like that, that's when I miss it. Because I have a lot of knowledge that I picked up there that I'm not passing on. And doing the guitar stuff again is great because, you know, I am starting to pass it on a little bit. So that's cool. But as far as missing the job itself, not really, no. I wouldn't say I miss it anymore. But I do miss the atmosphere. I miss the sales aspect of having people out. And I miss working on the guitars and stuff every day. But that's just the atmosphere more than anything, if that makes any sense. So hopefully that answers that question. Oh yes, here we go. Okay, this one made me laugh so hard. Okay. This is classic stuff right here, guys. Okay. Fuck, marry, kill. You gotta fuck one, you gotta marry one, you gotta kill one. With your podcast co-hosts, past and present. Oh God. All right. Cazador Jones, Kraft Woody, or Sam? Okay. First things first. For those of you who do not know, I used to co-host a gaming podcast, Two Guys in a Game. Whoop, whoop. You can check out the archives of that wherever you find your podcasts. Was very, very proud of that podcast and the body of work that we did. My co-host name, Cazador Jones. That's who he is. Of course, Kraft Woody and Sam are my co-hosts on Mics and Beers, which is a video podcast that I do with them. We're kind of on a bit of a unplanned, unannounced hiatus again right now because life is not cooperating with our schedules. But hopefully very, very soon we'll be back in the saddle there. So I gotta fuck one, gotta marry one, gotta kill one. Well, I'm gonna marry Sam. Not my Sam, by the way. It's another Sam who's also a ginger. So that's fun. I'm gonna marry Sam because she's my friend and I love her and I don't want to, you know, kill her or just fuck her and throw her away, obviously. Gotta kill... No. Oh, this is hard. I gotta either fuck Kraft Woody or Cazador Jones, or I gotta kill one of them. I'd say kill Cazador Jones because, I mean, you know, Two Guys in a Game is already dead at the moment anyway, so it's fine. Sorry, buddy. You know I love you. And then I'm gonna give Kraft Woody a nice night of passion, and then never call him again. That's how that's gonna go. Oh God. On that subject. What happened with Two Guys in a Game? Oh boy. What happened with Two Guys in a Game? Basically, to sum it up, Kaz and I realized, mainly me, I am the main reason Two Guys in a Game is not a thing anymore. I'd say about 70% of the reason. I realized very quickly, and I said this in the final episode that we did, episode 50, so the final official episode we did, which basically we had a really long hiatus. We came back and did episode 50, and then that was it. We actually did a bonus episode very recently, just kind of as like a little fun little catch-up thing, because we got the archives back up on Spotify and everything. And I talked about it in episode 50 and the bonus episode, where basically I realized very quickly I had no business co-hosting a gaming podcast. And Kaz is an entertaining dude, man. He's funny. He's, my buddy's a little ADHD when it comes to certain things, and that's okay. That's why I love him. But he needed someone to kind of, basically my role with Two Guys in a Game was to kind of hold down the fort, kind of keep the train on the tracks, and provide a little bit of structure to Kaz's just fun, crazy tangents, and then also some in-depth thoughts on games and that he was playing and things of that nature, because he has a lot of knowledge. But I needed to be someone who was in tune with what was going on in the gaming world, if that makes sense. And just simply put, I was not the person I needed to be. I remember I really realized it when E3, which is like the big gaming thing every year that happens, all the gaming news and new releases and stuff happened. And I didn't even know it was happening that week. We sat down to record an episode, and Brandon, our producer, Mr. Brandon Bad, my best friend, was like, oh, so what are you guys going to talk about for E3? And we both kind of looked at each other like, wait, E3's happening this week? And he's like, yeah. And that was right when I realized, okay, like, I should not be co-hosting a gaming podcast. The main reason Two Guys in a Game started was because I really wanted to do a podcast with Kaz. Because I had him on the Hodder show, just because he was a fun guy who did some fun impressions, and, he was a goofy, fun guy. So I was like, he'll be a fun guest. And then basically, Brandon was like, yo, that's your co-host. You guys have really fun chemistry. And it was a blast to do a podcast with him, but just maybe not gaming. If I could go back, we wouldn't have done a gaming podcast, because I felt like we needed some kind of structure. Like, we couldn't just do a random bullshit kind of talk show, because I was like, it's not going to get anywhere. And what ended up happening was people would tune in for the first 20 minutes or so of the podcast, because we would have skits and we would just goof off and have fun and bullshit, and he would tangent about stuff, and I'd make dumb, lame jokes, and then we'd get into like the quote-unquote gaming stuff, and the podcast would kind of die sometimes. Not all the time. We had some really great episodes, do not get me wrong, but about halfway through our journey, I would say I kind of started to really not be a fan of doing it, because I was just like, basically I didn't want to talk about gaming anymore. Let's just be real about it. And he kind of fell into the same boat as well near the end there, where he almost just kind of wanted to do a regular old talk show. And there's some episodes where it's just a mess, where like I cringe listening to them, because it's just like, Two Guys in a Game, and we spend 40 minutes not talking about video games, and then 10 minutes talking about games. And it's like, why are we even doing this? But it was a lot of fun. I love Two Guys in a Game. I do go back and listen to those episodes, especially now that they're available on the archives on Spotify and everything. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. I had a blast doing those with him. We did get a little big for our britches as far as we started doing weekly episodes, and I think that kind of killed it for us too, because I was doing the Hodder Show weekly and that weekly. And it kind of drained me too. So that was definitely another part of it as well, for sure.
All homes have signs of life, and well, they aren't always as pretty as you think. The hallway walls still show the scuff marks from that time you were absolutely convinced that bed frame would fit. The trim in the bathroom stained from that time your favorite feline just had to get a better look at your new nail color. And then, of course, there's the spot in the kitchen from that dreaded pasta sauce incident a couple years back. And, well, you get the picture. Make your house feel new again with a fresh coat of paint from Cale Riddick Painting. Offering expert interior and exterior painting, no residential job is too big or too small. Proudly serving Quinte, Ontario, and surrounding areas, Cale Riddick Painting will restore your house back into a home. They also do work on new additions or new builds. Contact them today at Cale Riddick Painting on Facebook, or you can contact them at 613-929-7085. 613-929-7085 for a quote today. And be sure to let them know that Hodder sent you.
Alright, what's your ultimate dream job? Okay, well, my ultimate dream job. Let me lay it down for you like this. My ultimate dream scenario, okay? Sam and I have this dream of being able to, hopefully one day, who knows, buy a nice little house. Nothing extravagant, but we want it to be on some property. And the reason for that is we want to, number one, build a nice little kennel, which will be a business that we run. Sam will mostly run it and take care of that, and that'll be kind of her thing. It'll be a very nice kennel, very small, one-on-one treatment, all that fun stuff. And on this property as well, there will be a little garage / office space / studio area. So basically, I'm going to build a little 2-story garage. Just a little maybe a 1-car bay with a little work area maybe, and then above that, you go upstairs and you have a nice sized recording studio room with a little table or whatever, or a booth or what have you. I haven't fully decided on that yet, obviously. And then a little workspace desk area. Now, the reason for that, number one, is because I would be doing podcasts regularly as a source of a bit of income. That might be daily. I don't know. At least different stuff Monday through Friday, I think would be very cool to be able to do. That'd be a full-time job too, just in time. Even every, say, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday or something. I think that'd be really fun. Be able to do the Hodder show a couple times a week. Be able to do Mikes and Beers or something, and then something else maybe. That'd be a lot of fun. Then on top of that, I would also basically have a sales, a on-call sales job / social media type shit, That would be very cool. That'd be very cool to be able to do that. And on top of that, basically those two would be how I make money. Obviously, I would also help with the kennel and everything. That would be very cool to be able to do that. And we would just have our little property, and that'd be cool. And, raise our kids and everything and have our family. And, we don't want... That may sound like a lot to some people. Some people might be like, oh my God, that's going to be super hoity-toity expensive. And the reality is that'll probably never happen. But we can still dream of that. Maybe one day, who knows. But, our house would be very modest. You know what I mean? A couple bedrooms, rec area, room for the kids to have friends over and so forth. Not some crazy huge master bedroom with a walk-in closet. That's bullshit, just modest. You know what I mean? That's what we want. We want to be comfortable, but we don't want to have this crazy huge house and everything. And that's kind of the dream job in a way, I guess. But at the same time, as far as a very realistic dream job, straight up, for basically my entire life in some way, shape, or form, I've wanted to, and some people might laugh at this, but it just is what it is. I have wanted to be a school custodian, for a multitude of reasons. Number one, they make a decent living, and especially if you're a supervisor role or something like that, which is kind of more the end goal, you can make an okay living doing that. You get your pension, you got great benefits, You can retire early, you know, like, and then you can do other things. Like, it's not an all-consuming job that's, you're getting calls all hours of the day and blah, 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 blah. Like, you can still have a life. And, you know, I would want to work evenings because most people don't want to work evenings. I don't really care. So then I can, you know, stay at home with my kids, see them off in the morning to school. And, you know, like, that's something that I would love to be able to do. And, you know, hopefully I will get that opportunity. You know, that's the hope. That's the immediate, like, realistic, 100% not a pipe dream. Like, I want that to happen, and I do think it will for sure. So hopefully that answers that question. When the hell are you going to do more wrestling interviews? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Soon, hopefully. Here's the thing. Like I said in the intro, guys, life has been crazy the last few months. I mean, everyone's fucking life is crazy right now. But for me personally, it's been hectic. And I got some news that I'm not going to share right now. It's not bad. Let me just say that. It's good news. But let's just say there's a reason I'm doing this in my freaking car like this. Because this is the only time I'm going to have to do this podcast right now for this week. And I wanted to have something. Like I said in the intro, I wanted to have something out to you guys this week. You know, because I want to make sure that I'm, you know, pumping my wonderful sponsors. And I want to make sure I got something to you guys as well. That was kind of at least something, you know. Scheduling interviews right now is going to be, at least for maybe the next couple of weeks. I'll have something next week. I have no idea what yet. We'll see. But I do definitely want to do more wrestling interviews. I love talking wrestling. I love wrestling. I would love to do more interviews with some of the Chinlock crew. There's quite a few people I really want to have on. I have something that's kind of a pipe dream I'd love to do with wrestling. You know, just a pure wrestling podcast would be a lot of fun. Before COVID started, I may or may not have had plans to launch a purely wrestling podcast as well as this podcast, which was, I have no fucking idea how I was going to be able to do that, but I would have figured it out, I guess. I would have figured it out. But the short answer is yes, for sure I will. Definitely. Now, is there any specific reason why you don't do more video interviews? I really enjoy them. Well, thank you. Here's the thing with video stuff. With my current setup, doing video interviews is tricky because editing them is a process. It is. If I had a better computer, it wouldn't be a big deal. Hopefully one day, maybe next year, who knows? I don't know. I am getting a new laptop because I have to, because my laptop is ready to die any day now. And if that happens, for fucking sure, this podcast is not gonna happen for a little while. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm addicted to this. I'll figure it out. I'm an addict. I'm a podcast addict, which is actually a great app you can use to listen to podcasts, by the way. Shouts to Podcast Addict. And I definitely want to do more video stuff because it is fun. You know, the interview I did with Hoogie was a video interview, and that was a lot of fun to do. You know, I did one with Tyler Boone very recently. That was the most recent one I did. Me and AJ from Words Like Wildfire did one fairly recently. And they're a lot of fun to do, but just if I have to do any editing, which 99% of the time you have to, it's just, basically my computer freezes up every time I go to do anything with it. Even just editing this audio, this podcast, guys, like it should take me, an episode like today's, this episode here, should take me like 10, 15 minutes to edit the actual, like, clean the audio up, add a little bit of compression, blah, 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 that stuff. Piece it together. Should take maybe 10, 15 minutes. In reality, I'll probably be at it for about an hour and a half. Just because of how much I have to wait for it to basically catch up with itself because it freezes, if that makes any sense. So, logistics is the reason why I don't do more video interviews, I guess. Oh, here's a fun one. That sounded really sarcastic. I'm being serious. This is a fun one. What was your first impression of Sam when you met her? Sam, of course, meaning Sam Light, my beautiful, wonderful fiance. What was your first impression when you met her? And where the hell is the Ask Sam Anything podcast you hyped? Okay. All right. Let me address the last thing first. As I said, corrupt podcast last week. Let's just say I am super devastated to announce that it was her podcast that was the corrupted one. And I'm very upset about that. She has said she will do it again with me. It'll be in a better setting anyway. We were literally driving on the highway while we were recording it, and it was really noisy. Like, super noisy. Not like noisy like this is. Like, not like random cars going by once in a while. But I mean, like, it was like highway noise, super noisy. So we're going to record it again for sure. She said she would do it. She promised she'll do it again. Because, it was a lot of fun. I know she has fun doing it, let's be serious. So you can expect that at some point. I don't know when. As I said, the next week for sure, maybe in the next 2 weeks. I'm not even going to be seeing very much of her. So, yeah, it's going to be, I don't know when it's going to be tricky. And when I do see her, the last thing we're going to want to do is sit down and record a podcast. We're going to want to spend some quality time together and catch up and all that fun stuff. But rest assured, it will definitely happen. Because it was a lot of fun to do. She had fun answering the questions. So rest assured, it's going to happen. It may not be as long as normal podcasts are, kind of like this one today. But rest assured, it will happen. And what was my first impression when I met her? So what was kind of fun is, I'm sure I've told this story before, but basically Sam and I met online, actually. And I had been on many dates through online sites. I shouldn't say many, but like a decent amount. And this was before Tinder. This was before all the swipe left, swipe right type shit. It was a little more to it then at the time. Even before Plenty of Fish, actually. We met on Tagged. So there you go. Which is kind of hilarious. Because that's like a, kind of a weird site to meet your future wife on, I guess. It's kind of a weird site. Not that, I'd say weird, but it was if you're not familiar with Tagged, it was kind of like Facebook, MySpace mixed together, but like a lot of people sending dick pics, and you could like rate people, and you could like say you like own someone. It was really weird. It was basically a hookup site, kind of, I guess. Not really. I don't know. It was kind of a weird site, man. I don't know. It was a little weird, but I met the love of my life on there, so it's all good. My first impression was of Sam. Let's be serious. Let's start with the first thing. I saw a picture of her and was like, that is the most fucking gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life. And I still feel that way today. And I looked on her profile, and I'm like, she seems pretty cool. We started talking. The first time we actually got to like talk. We talked for like 4 or 5 hours. And we did that for a few nights. And then I was like, hey, I need to meet this girl because, like, this is crazy. Like, we have a connection. And the first time I actually met her, same thing. I saw her and I was like, oh my God, this is literally the most beautiful, gorgeous girl I've ever seen in my life. It was just, like, too much, man. And she was very shy and very reserved. As the night progressed, though, she kind of came over her shell more and was just hilarious and was so just sweet. But also at the same time, like, she's feisty. She has this feistiness to her. And she's not afraid to speak her mind. Like, she does not give a fuck. She will speak her mind and she doesn't care. And those are just like a few things I just love about her to this day. It's my favorite things about her. And, it was such an overwhelming feeling of just like, holy shit, like, this is the most incredible person I've ever met. So hopefully that kind of answers that question without me going off for 20 minutes about how amazing she is. Moving on. What's Hodder get on his pizza? All right, listen, fuckers. here's the deal. When pizza was created, okay, it was meant to be the dough, the sauce, the jazz, and the pepperoni. That's it. Some of you motherfuckers out there need to stop with this goddamn throwing fucking apples and fucking... I see all this weird pizza lately, and I'm like, no. I saw one today, it was like blueberry and onion, and I was like, what the hell? Pizza is a beautiful, wonderful, simple thing. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. Even though just pepperoni and extra cheese is my favorite pizza, don't get me wrong. I'll mess up a meat lover's pizza any day of the week. I'll mess up bacon pizza. I'll mess up, hell, even just like a ground beef and bacon pizza. I'll mess up a bacon and cheese and sausage pizza. Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care too much about the meats. And I understand the throwing the green peppers on there and stuff. I get that. I'm not a fan. I think it's blasphemy, but I get it. But these fucking people that put just like ham and pineapple on it and move on with their day. What the hell is wrong with you? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Seriously. Just stop. Cheese, pepperoni. Done. That's it. I'll fuck with a 4-cheese pizza. No veggies on my goddamn pizza, all right? If I want to eat veggies, I'll eat a fucking salad, okay? That's a done deal there. That's the end of that. How's things been with you the last couple of months with the pandemic? Do you miss live shows? So that's kind of two questions I seem to jump together there. Well, as I said earlier, last few months have been rough for everybody, man. You know, this year has been very interesting. And, you know, there's a part of me that feels like we're kind of just getting into it, you know, with the whole coronavirus bullshit. But I have faith in humanity, man. I have faith in people. And I believe that generally people are kind and people are patient and compassionate. There's some real fuckers out there. Don't get me wrong. Some real dickheads. Some real dumb, just stupid people. But I believe that generally the people are good. And that people are smart. And that this time next year, at the very least, maybe we'll start having some kind of an idea of basic normalcy. Will things go back to exactly the way they were? I personally don't think so. And I don't think they should. I think there's some things that we've learned this year. You know, people working from home to save money and stuff like that. I think that's one big thing that's going to change. You know, corporations that were paying for office space that realize now they don't have to. You know, jobs that used to be frowned upon, maybe being looked at a little better. And I'm not saying, okay, this might give me some heat, but that's fine. Listen, I'm a frontline worker. I'm a essential worker, blah, 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 blah. We're not fucking heroes, okay? I'm sorry, we're not. Were we taking a risk? Absolutely. Was I taking a risk and was I a hero that deserved to be called a hero because I was cleaning toilets and making sure things were safe and sanitized for people? No. Okay, no. No. Do I think that firefighters are heroes? Yeah. Do I think that, you know, doctors are heroes? Yeah. Do I think the healthcare workers that we're risking so much more heroes? Yeah, I do generally, there's part of me that I do believe that 100%. But someone bagging groceries at, you know, the grocery store, I no. Like, they put up with a lot of shit, man. And this is coming from someone who's in that world too. I just think it's a little silly. I mean, thank you, but I just think it's a little silly, man. Should we be treated better than we used to? Fuck yes. But should they be, throwing parades? And I saw this thing the other day, man. It was Tim Hortons made these new like hero cups or whatever, and has names of all these people from different lines of work. And I mean, it's cool. But like the first person they show you is like someone who works at a grocery store. And like the fourth person they show you is like a healthcare worker. I'm like, sorry, but the healthcare worker should be first in my opinion. This is what it is, man. I'm not saying that, Carol working down at the IGA there, IGA I think for fucking years or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That out the Walmart doesn't deserve to be treated better because of the risk she's taking to make sure you can go get your groceries and stuff. Especially a few months ago when things were really like, we didn't know a lot and things were very touch and go. She should be treated better and all that fun stuff. But does that mean she's a national hero? No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Anyway, enough on that fucking topic. I don't know why I went off so bad there. Apparently I've been wanting to say that for a while. But, I've been able to keep working this whole time. And I'm grateful for that. I really am. I've been able to have some normalcy in my life. So I'm grateful for that. I have a lot of friends who don't have that luxury. And that still don't have that luxury. They're still out of work. And it affected their lives completely. And that's scary, man. There's people out there, my friends in the entertainment industry, their lives may never be the same after this. So those are the people that I feel for. Those are the people that need our support, and people like myself who have been working this whole time. At least we've had some kind of normalcy, man. So that's kind of my, all I got to say about that. Do I miss live shows? Yes. I regret I didn't go to more live shows. I always said that, I always wanted to do more. I always wanted to go to more, I always tried to financially support bands anytime I could. I'd buy merch, I'd buy CDs and stuff because I couldn't go to live shows. So I was like, I want to support any other ways. It's the whole reason I started this podcast. Let's be serious. But I don't know how live shows are going to look from now on. So I'm more excited, to be completely honest. I'm excited to see it happen because I'm going to be so excited to see my friends in that industry get back to work, man. Because it just fucking breaks my heart. And it's going to be so fun when, even some bands I've had on this podcast that are just dying to be back playing shows. It's going to make me so happy, and I'm definitely going to go to more shows. That's a kind of a promise I made to myself. Like, I'm going to make way more of an effort to go to more shows for sure. But also, just live events in general. Fuck, man, that first Chinlock wrestling show that happens after this pandemic, oh, you better believe I'm going to be there screaming my ass off and just cheering, and oh, it's going to be awesome. So I am very excited about that, and I'm hopeful, I think we're getting there. I think we're going to have to make some sacrifices as far as, maybe the little fenced-in areas that we've seen pictures of that people are like, oh my God, fucking sheeple. And I'm like, just listen. If that's what we have to do to get fucking concerts back regularly, whatever. Okay? Seriously, whatever. I don't give a shit. You have your own little mosh pit area everyone stays out of. I'm cool with that. I'm so cool with that. I'm there to hang out with my fucking friends and stuff anyway and listen to awesome music. I don't give a shit if I'm in a little pen by myself with my friends. I'm cool with it. I don't give a shit. Is it kind of silly? Yeah. I'm not going to say that one way or another. But whatever. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. Are we going to get more live casts? You said you would. You promised. Yes. Definitely. If anything, you might... Here's the thing with live casts. I love doing them, and the last one that I did was like the funnest time I've ever had doing a live cast. It was so much fun. But it's tricky to pick and choose when to do it. Because generally speaking, I have to do it at night. Like around 8:30, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, somewhere in that ballpark. And I don't know if the general people that are in my fan base necessarily want to go that late. Because then that means it's like, 10 o'clock or maybe even 11 o'clock when we're done. Some people don't want to go that late. And I do get that. But I definitely do want to do more. They're fun. They're easy, As long as I got people that tune in and can interact with, they're a freaking blast. So I promise I will do more for sure. Okay, I got a couple more here, and then we'll wrap her up here today. Overall, oh boy, this is an interesting one. Overall, are you happy with the level of success your podcast has had? Do you ever think about quitting since you haven't blown up more than you have? Just curious. Short answer is yes. I started doing this podcast. I've talked about this a million times, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I have spent a lot of time on this podcast, and I started this podcast because it was just an excuse for me to keep in touch with some people and bands and stuff like that. And I love doing it. It's very cathartic for me. It's a release. It's just fun getting to talk to people. And, I always say if I can have a band on that they're promoting their new EP or whatever, or I have someone on for an interview and we have fun and one person goes and checks them out because they were on my show and they get one new fan, I will have felt like I accomplished something. So in that regards, I'm very happy with it. This podcast has afforded me to, good Lord. This podcast has afforded me some incredible experiences that I would not have had if it wasn't for this podcast. There's people I've met because of this podcast that would not be in my life if it was not for this podcast. And man, I'm grateful as hell for that. And when the day does come that I finally, hanging up with this podcast, I'm going to look back on it with nothing but fond memories. That being said, do I wish could be a little bigger? I mean, sure, who doesn't, Would it be really cool if I could, and this is going to sound really weird, but please let me elaborate. Would it be cool if I could make a little bit of money with this podcast? Yes, but let me explain why. Because then I would put it back into the podcast. I don't have the disposable income to, go out and buy a new laptop, buy new mics, rent a recording room to do a really good, awesome interview, buy better editing software, potentially pay people to come on the show, big names and stuff. So it's for that reason, sometimes I do wish that it could be a little bigger, but then also on the flip side of that, so I can get more exposure for the people on my show. There are some people I have on my show that are some of the most awesome people in the world, and they're so talented. And I would love to be able to say, I got over 1,000 downloads a week, which, at one point the show was there. And it's I'd love to be able to say, I can guarantee you 1,000 people are going to hear this. That would be fucking awesome. Even 100 people, that'd be awesome. I mean, that's a stretch. I mean, sometimes 100 people hear these episodes, definitely, but it's, hit or miss sometimes. And that'd be cool. And some people think it's not justifiable that I still do this podcast. They're like, why are you still doing this? It's silly. But it's I do it for me, man. I do it for me. And now I have, paid sponsors. So that's really fucking cool. And to be able to say that is awesome. And that's a very fun, cool thing because it brings some legitimacy to the show for sure. And I know the show does mean a lot to some people, and it means a lot to me. So that's what's most important. And I love doing it. I have fun doing it. If I didn't love doing this show, I wouldn't be sitting in my car right now with the only free time that I have basically for the next week and a half. doing this episode. Real talk. I should be doing 100 other things right now, but all I want to do is record this episode for you guys so I do not miss another week. Because I want to have my cathartic release, because it's fun for me. Have I ever thought about quitting? Only once. Where I gave it some serious thought, and I've talked about this before again too, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But basically, late last year, early this year, I had some major setbacks with the show. My Mac died. I found out I had to leave SoundCloud. And that sucked. I basically had to start this podcast over again. Leaving my hosting site that I was on for almost 5 years. 4 years actually. That sucked. That sucked really bad because there were a lot of people that didn't follow me. And that does really suck. Because I was really hoping, if I had given more warning, they probably would have, found me. Because my numbers were growing a lot at that point. And so it sucks that I had to do that. And I don't regret that decision because the alternative was me to basically get rid of the archives. And the archives still have listens all the time. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel like I should do that. Some people might argue that was a dumb decision and that I should have stayed with SoundCloud. And I'm like, you know what? It was a decision I made and I stick by it 100%. And obviously, losing the Mac sucked because it was a great thing that I was able to edit quickly on and blah, 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 blah. But that's really the only time because I was so defeated and I was burnt out and it was so disheartening to, basically be like, I got to basically fucking start over again. And that sucked. Because if you look at my total listens right now, it's at not very high. And people are like, wow, you almost have 300 episodes and your listens aren't very high. But it's like, well, because I had to start over. So that sucked. But it's all good, man. It's all good. It's fun. And I love doing it. I really do. And talking about that stuff, sometimes people say, your tone of voice changes. It sounds like you're, almost wishing you could say, nah, fuck it. But no, it's not that at all. It's a weird subject for me, the whole setback, because, again, like I said, I basically had to start over again. And I'm grateful as hell for the people that followed me. I really am. It means the world to me. But, that being said, if the podcast blows up overnight, right on. Oh, boy. Okay. Last one we have here. Can you please do your Lola Stumpy impression? Can I bust out a Lola? Hang on, I gotta have a swig of DC first. Diet Coke. Hang on a sec here. This is actually terrible to do if you're doing a podcast or anything, because it's terrible for your throat, the acidicness. Oh my God, Andrew, I'm gonna wring you out like a sponge. Oh my God, oh, that's terrible. Hang on. I can usually do it really well, I promise. Oh my God, I'm a dump truck. I'm gonna, peel your skin off. Oh my God, you think I'm pretty? That's terrible, I'm sorry. Get a few beers in me, I can do Lola really well. For those of you who don't know, Lola Stumpy is a character from Big Mouth. Go watch Big Mouth, it's a lot of fun. And that's gonna do it here for this impromptu car edition of Ask Hodder Anything again. I hope you guys had fun, man. I hope you had fun. If you have a question, hit me up, let me know. I will answer it either on an episode of the show, or I'll wait and hold it for another episode of Ask Hodder or anything like this. These are a lot of fun. I love doing them. It's a fun kind of departure for the show. Once I love interviews and stuff. Again, I have no idea what next week is going to look like, so please just be patient with me over these next couple of weeks. It's going to be... I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to say anything until I have some more info and stuff. But let's just say the next couple of weeks are going to be... it's going to be hectic. Crazy. But good crazy. Not bad crazy. Let me reiterate that again. Good crazy. And I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do on the show next week, or if there's even gonna be an episode. I don't know, but I apologize in advance if there isn't. Trust me when I say it's good, and that it could potentially be awesome for the show as well. So something to think about. But before I go, I of course want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters, my hardheads, my boy Mr. Scotty D, who actually just had a birthday not all that long ago. Also, I forgot to say thank you everybody for the birthday wishes. It means a lot to me. I forgot to say that. My boy Scotty had a birthday not that long ago. So Scotty, happy birthday, my man. I appreciate you. You know I love you. I've known Scott for a long time. And if you are in the Clarington, Ontario area and you are in need of some windows cleaned or some power washing done or your gutters cleaned, hit up my boy Scott at Suds Window Cleaning. He is the man. He'll give you a good hookup on some service. And then, of course, my man Will from Rolls Royce. If you guys are familiar with Rolls Royce, they are one of the premier punk rock bands in the world. They are badass. They released an EP this year, Larold. Really, really fun listen. We actually did a showcase on it not that long ago, so go check that out. Where I actually had him and his, the guitarist, Mitch, on. I know it was Mitch. I just can't remember if he was the guitarist or the bassist. I can't remember. So I apologize, Mitch, if you hear this. Yeah, Will, thank you for supporting, man. You know, I appreciate you. Very, very much so. And I appreciate you for listening. Thank you so very much. It means the world to me. Audio fist bump. Boom. I had to hold the recorder there because it wouldn't fall. And again, you know, I do apologize that this is kind of a different setup for me here. But like I said, again, I wanted to get something out to you guys this week. So here it is in all its glory. Again, I hope you had fun. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Check out past episodes of The Hodder Show. A little more better audio. Some fun stuff. That interview with Brandon Gregory couple weeks ago was so much fun. He was a badass guest. You know, I do a lot of fun stuff here on the show, so be sure to go check it out. Leave a subscribe. It means the world to me. Leave a rating even if you so choose as well. Give us a follow on the Facebook and the Instagram as well. Anything to say, email me anytime at thehoddershow@gmail.com. Check out Podbeard Network and all the fun shows on there. And that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so very much for tuning in. And I'll catch you next time on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.